Welcome to the Black Phoenix Financial Podcast. Lee Kemp here for another week on the podcast here with Ethan Cope. How are you doing this week, my friend?
What's up, everyone?
That's what I like to hear, some high energy for the podcast. So this week we will continue talking through the holy trinity of stock personalities that we should be looking for. Again, we'll give out some current market tips and tricks towards the end of the show for people listening. As we like to say, we are here for people like myself who don't really know what they're doing. I'd say, you know, I'm 1% there, 99% still not knowing what I'm doing, but we're here to give those lessons on the way, and also just here for general discussion, tips, and a different perspective on the market for those that are already in the game. Please go over, follow us on social media, give us that support. We are at BP Financial Pod on Twitter. Ethan is at T4A Phoenix, that's PHENUX. Any support you give is greatly appreciated. We're just talking before the show, those numbers are shooting up at the moment, which is fantastic to see.
Love you guys.
Absolutely. Whatever you're listening on or watching, if you're on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, hit that subscribe button. Hit the right here, if I can get my finger in the right place, and I knock my microphone over.
Hammer that subscribe
wrong.
Boom! Smash that up. Yeah.
Here we go. Appreciate the support. I'm getting far too excited there. Right, before we start as well, I have a little confession to make. So obviously I'm in my observing phase right now. So I should just be there on my chart game, looking at what's going on, spotting my big babies, spotting my teenage girls, and understanding those stock patterns and how they appear. So I was, earlier this week, I went to pick up my kids and it involves a flight for me, and there's a stopover in the middle of a few hours. So I had a lot of time to kill. So I got my phone out and I was doing just what you said, that mobile position that it is. And I was just on my chart game on my phone, click, 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 click. Killed a lot of time in the airport, hopefully gained my education. Like you like to say, you can literally do it anywhere. However, I have a habit, and you'll know this when you get yourself even messages and emails from me. I suffer from fat thumb syndrome, so I click a lot of things I don't need to click. So I kind of accidentally hit the short button while I was clicking through. And I was like, oh, what's going on here? Realised what I did, but I'd clicked next a good few times before I realised what I did. So I thought I'd stick with it. So what I want to do as a starter today is show my stocks that I got. My trade that I got, and get your view on my accidental trade, if that sounds good as a starter.
To be honest, you'll find that just about every trader out there has had a fat finger purchase or a fat finger sell at some point. I've had it in virtually everybody I know. The trick is to get out right away. You know, spreadsheet, no harm, no fuss. But if it's real money, that's when it gets scary.
Well, that's it. That would be the panic, I think. So this is the second time I've done it. The first time I did it and I was straight back out and didn't even notice. This one, if I'm honest, that temptation was there to stick with it a little while, which I know is not what I'm exactly supposed to be doing, but I did do it a little bit. So you should probably see here now. Here is my trade that I did. You can see.
Actually, nice. So that's a real perfect accidental short right there.
I was quite pleased with it, I have to say. But again, you know, it wasn't designed. I didn't think I'm going to go in on this one. I did, as you can see.
Right.
And then I hit the button again and it tanked, which is why I thought, oh, maybe I'll stay with this for a little while.
Yeah, and if this had happened on purpose, you actually see a short, kind of what we had been learning, where there was a momentum to the downside. You know, and your fat finger kind of took advantage of that and entered a short position. And then when you saw the momentum had started to shift with a maybe towards the upside where that X is there, you got out. So that is a perfect short for a beginner. So bravo on that.
Thank you. That's what I like to hear. So again, this here, totally accidental. Didn't mean to do it. Was the exact right time to do it, which is why I thought I'll stick. And then, and your words were in my head, the momentum was there. I was thinking, is it a baby or not? And it leveled out. So it wasn't really on my analysis. And I kept going. And I saw about here, I was like, oh, what should I do? And I kept watching it a bit more. And then here was where I thought, especially for my beginneries, I'm not confident. I said, it's either going to bobble along or it might go back up. And I thought, even if it went down some more, I'm not confident to stay in here. So I stayed in longer than I should have because I sort of got out right at the start. And that's where I thought, right, I'll give it a go. And then it increased up a bit, and it did come down further towards the end of the day. I haven't got all the way through, but I was quite accidentally pleased with what I did there.
Yes, that's a very good trade. And you see how quickly things do add up too, because I figure, I don't know, maybe $10,000-$20,000 is an average share price. And if you look there at the bottom with your very first trade, it was a 2% realized with over $2,000 the monetary gain. So you get to see how quickly, how almost effortlessly the trade happened, because it happened on accident. And that I'm glad we brought this up for this show, is because that is a very important idea to kind of dial in on. And that's what we're trying to teach people, is that if you're patient, trading can be stress-free. And many of the hedge fund traders, the proprietary firms, they're looking for those type of trades, patient. Okay, now here's my time. Boom, the trade has a bit of momentum to the downside. Next thing you know, you're out, and that's the only trade you do that day, or maybe just one or two more just like that. And that's enough to make a living on. And the trouble is when a beginner has one trade like that, and then they very same day they get so excited, man, I made 2,000, that was so easy, and they double their size or triple their size and try to do that again, and then next thing you know, they're down 2,100, and they're like,
Well, what I want to do now is show you my next 50 trades where I got so excited, and I'll show you how I lost my 100,000. Not really. I stuck there. I was like,
no, but that's exactly what happens,
I think
so
as we go
teaching
through
patience.
this, and as we move from the lessons into where I start doing a bit of paper money, and then eventually real money, and I'll flag to you as as my teacher on this. That's the number one thing to look out for, because my patience or my impatience can be my Achilles heel, I think. And I'm getting more comfortable as you look at this and understanding that part of it. But I think and I think mine won't be so much when I do well, it'll be where I don't do well and I want to try and recover it. And I know I'm going to have to fight those instincts as I go forward. And I think that's very conscious in my mind. And again, before we started this, I floated the idea to you, I didn't know anything about this kind of trading sniper mentality just wouldn't have occurred to me. And I want to get very good at it, but I know it's going to be a challenge to have that patience. So yeah, I know that's going to be coming in my future.
Yeah, this is just like we talked about the jigsaw puzzle, or maybe the foundation for a house, any of those things that you can kind of picture building, putting together. And even a biblical idea is that if you build a foundation on rock, when the storms come and different market situations come and go, that house will stand, versus a house that's built on sand. You have all these different emotions or circumstances that come into play, and that house disappears. So the little piece by piece foundation that we can put into our education, it takes time. It's going to take a lot of time, but it's worth its weight in gold. It is possible. So we'll see each piece kind of come together, build on each one.
Absolutely. No, I'm looking forward to it. And I just want to run past you some understanding. So I went rogue and I did a little bit of reading myself, just because I did a short and I wanted to make sure I understood how shorting works. So I went on, it was just Investopedia or something like that. And I just read a bit and I think I understood it. And I didn't want to go too far off track, because I don't want to start rushing pieces into that jigsaw and I'm learning the wrong bits in the wrong way. But it was just in my head that I really wanted to understand that. And it's only because I accidentally did it. So after a few more charts, I went in, and from what it said there, my understanding is so at the start where I shorted on this, what I would have done is gone to a broker or whatever it is, and I would have borrowed the shares. So I wouldn't have bought the shares. I'd have borrowed the shares that someone else had. I'd have then immediately sold them for whatever the market price was. and then counted on that exactly like it did, tanking. And then when I got out, I'd have bought back that same volume of shares at the lower price, gave them back to who I borrowed it off of. And that amount in the middle is my profit. That's where that £2,000 came from, is the difference between what I sold them for and then what I bought them back for.
Yes,
Which
exactly.
and it clicked, and I was like, that makes sense. Don't get me wrong. I was like, God, that seems risky, but it made sense on how it worked. I can see why that's definitely a more advanced trading style.
Yes, it's different. It's a different mindset. We'll definitely learn it, and it's fun as you get familiar with the spreadsheets and ChartGame. My favorite thing on ChartGame is actually the short.
Oh, really?
When you, as a beginner, we're going to try to look for Navy SEAL as the easiest, less risky thing to pick out. But my favorite thing that's exciting is honestly momentum shorts, because they just fall. You know, they fall like a lead weight, and I don't think we've seen any of them yet, but you'll see, especially they call them low float, which means a low amount of circulation in the share count. And then what happens is once it's had a really big move to the upside, people decided to scam, and then like you talked about taking the elevator down. You know, it's even faster than an elevator, and those are fun. So way back, you know, maybe in our 50th episode, we're going to get into momentum shorts.
Awesome. No, it sounds exciting. I say I went slightly rogue just to look, because I wanted to sit that in my head. But where we are now, and again, for those watching, for those listening, we've talked about, you know, we introduced this concept of personality. I say we. Ethan introduced his concept of personalities, and I nodded along and started to learn it. And we talked about Big Baby, which is where I think I had a small tantrum in my my accidental one there rather than a big baby.
Yes,
we talked about, like we said,
perfect.
The teenager. I am, and apologise for anyone watching or listening if we go slightly robotic or glitchy, it's because I have my near teenagers in the house with me, so my internet is being rinsed right now for power. But with those, you know, the mood swings like we talked about, the ups and downs and what we're looking for, and then there is you've alluded a few times to Navy SEAL. So what we want to do today is go through a few more charts and really be looking for spotting those babies, spotting the teenage girls, looking for, well, I suppose if we were looking to short, this is almost simulating that, isn't it? So trying to look for those baby behaviors and trying to get everything else out the way. And let's dive on real time, no rehearsal, and we'll see what we've got, if that works for you.
Yep. Raw, keep it raw. We're all
That's
about.
what we like to do. Life. Right, so I'll just get started. I'll click play day trader simulation. We've got one ready. And let's get this up on the screen.
Very good.
If I can click the right button.
What we're trying to isolate is the beginner's visual, so they can feel calm and confident in the trade. And observation, once again, that skill set to be able to see what we're looking at and identify it.
Absolutely.
So now,
what does this look like to you going into the day? Because there is a lot of, to use your phrase, there's a lot of volatility going on here, it looks like to me.
Yeah, it looks a little bit weaker, so it's not an Navy SEAL, definitely not yet. Probably won't become one, but we can see next bar and just kind of see what happens once the market opens.
Oh.
Okay, so it had a bit of a big gap up, and what we would look for in determining personality is we're looking for an immediate either follow through with buyers or a negative reaction with sellers. So we got a negative reaction there. So it's definitely not a Navy SEAL at this point.
No, and for those listening, we've gone in as a chart of very, you know, what I would say is a roller coaster with a lot of reds and greens at the bottom, big jump at the start. And then, like you've said, it's immediately, well, there's a lot of buys. Next 10 minutes, a lot of sells. And then we're getting a number of buys again now, but the price is kind of static, isn't it? Which, again, I'm only saying what I see. I don't know what it means, but just to help those that are listening rather than watching.
Well, I'd give my idea on it because price is king. And what we'd look for is we'd want to see a break with authority above the 123 mark, or a break with authority below the 122 mark. And The 123 would show me strength, and the 122 would show me weakness.
And we are all, so we're bobbling, we're creeping, tiptoeing above the 123.
Yes. So this isn't a Navy SEAL. It's showing a bit of strength. So now it's showing strength with the idea that someone could potentially long. I would actually long here,
Yeah.
to be honest.
So you've marked this here. We've gone up from, well, it closed yesterday at 120. It opened here at 123 or 123, what, 0.2. And you're
Yes.
up to 123, well, it's a high, 123.9 here. So you think this for you is a point to think you'd go in and you'd.
Yes, and I'll give my reasoning behind it is I would say because it gapped, it held, and then it continued to have buyer building interest a bit. And so that would tell me, hey, I could take some small size here and expect at least a small movement to the upside. And so that's what we're having. And it's not a lot of strength. It's not a Navy SEAL. It's just a touch better than maybe a teenage girl.
Yeah.
So at this point, it's not a big money maker. Doesn't seem to be. And I would probably, well, I'd just leave it now, I guess. And maybe what I do oftentimes when I have a long that I'm not sure about is I immediately take if I took a long position, I would immediately place a stop order around that entry so I could lock in at least a cent or two around my entry to know that I'm not losing money.
And for me, in my novice brain, that where you said put in the stop in, is that where once it hits a certain mark, a lower mark, that would sell at that point for you, so you don't risk going lower than that?
Exactly. It's kind of like the brakes that you are able to put on your car, and you've got, say you got a fast car like a Ferrari, or you got a slower car like a Toyota Camry. And
there were two ends of the spectrum there you just described.
Exactly. So you as a trader, you start to get a feel for how the stock is moving. If it's moving fast in an upward direction, you're able to put your brakes a little bit higher. But if it's moving slowly and say you're a little bit more nervous, I might put my brakes in closer. This stock currently is not a Navy SEAL. It gets the hope running for a person that's involved that it could potentially go to a higher price. But it's not telling us, hey, I want a higher price. The buyers aren't saying immediately that they're excited about this stock and they're ready to see it move higher. So it's kind of, for a beginner, this would be a no trade.
Yeah, you think this, I can see that there. Like you said, it's gone marginally. It's had a reasonable day.
Yes. Yep. So not even really worth trading. One of those aspects, or one of those charts where we could kind of call a non-personality.
Okay. One of those people you don't want to talk to at the party.
Yep.
So
you're not playing my game.
On to the next chart, and again, describe those listening. We've got a downward trend here of the previous day. Not huge, from the top of what have you got here, 51.4 to a close of the day of 50.7, but generally down all the way through the day. I'd say, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, it looks like there's a mix at the bottom, but there's more red than green.
Yes.
It looks like.
Yeah. Yep. You got it. The general trend on this chart has been a weakness. So generally we'd call it a baby. And then because of the market cycles, you can have a stock like this that trends lower the whole day, and then the next market day it either gap up or gap down, depending on where the market direction goes. So that gives us a lot of signal if we can kind of see what it does next.
And let's see that. So click 1. Is
Yep.
that enough to count as a gap up? It's a small jump, but it's in a positive direction.
Yeah, that would still be a gap up. It's a small gap up, but it is showing strength. And then right there, that's actually what we want to dial in on, those bars and how a Navy SEAL could start. And a Navy SEAL starts exactly like what we just saw there, maybe with a little bit more buying volume. But what we saw in the candles is we saw a small gap up.
Yeah.
And then there was no real retracement on the next candle. It immediately started where the last candle left off. And then after that, there was even a small gap up.
Yeah.
So all those 3 bars are indicative of a maybe actually past the 5150 point. They're planting a buyer flag in that area to me, because end-to-end bars always show more they always show more direction. It's not a given, it's more of an art, but they do give you a clue that the buyers are excited about this price.
And that's that then. So yeah, those first three green candles, and like you said, where the top one tops out is where the bottom of the next one starts, and then the same again, like you said, with a little gap, which so that's
exactly,
and that's for you. So that's end to end, and that's a real positive sign. It's then for the next 3, it's kind of settled at the bottom of the last candle. But do you still think it's showing signs of a Navy SEAL, which just settled down from that initial jump?
Yes, and what I do to make that decision is I would long here, and then as it confirmed the higher price, I would add to it maybe my full position. And if I was wrong, I'd stop out. Maybe right there, and then re-enter if I was still interested.
You keep an eye. So, like you said, it got to just above 1. Well, what have we got? 51.33, so 51.33. And you said you were looking at possibly going to go through that 51.50, and it's dropped again back down to like 51 in the teens, hasn't it?
Yes. And my intuition says it's still strong and it's going to pass that original green bar.
Yeah.
Even though it's doing wacky things right now.
But you keep an eye on it.
Yeah, that's why those first few green bars where there was gaps and end to ends are so important, is because they show, at least temporarily, a buyer excitement. And the buyers who are in this stock, after say a few hours have went by, many of the buyers still remember that initial excitement from the open.
Yeah.
So they will still have in the back of their mind that it could potentially move up there. It's just not ready yet.
However, for us, if I'm going to take this in the right direction, we are trying to baby. So this is definitely not a baby.
Correct.
It's definitely not a teenage girl. It's potentially a SEAL, but it's showing a bit of a lack of personality right now. So shall we come out of this one and start to look at the next day that we're going into?
Yeah, we could do that for sure.
Rather than, the part like you said, trying to will it into something that it's not.
Exactly. The part that I'd like to highlight from that last chart is exactly what we're looking for. We're looking for end-to-end green candles.
Yeah.
We're looking for buyer excitement to build with very little, if any, capitulation, which capitulation or indecision or maybe like a lackluster attitude versus excitement, exuberance, maybe a fear of missing out that you start to see on the chart.
Yeah. Right, next one up, lots of tiny little candles that meander down during the day. Not a lot. Oh, well, I say not a lot of activity, but towards the end of the day, you've got 500,000 buys and sells going on. So, I mean, and I don't know, to my amateur eye, this one looks boring, but I don't know if that last flurry of the day would give you a little bit of interest.
Well, I wouldn't have any interest in the Navy SEAL. Currently, I would think this would potentially turn into a big baby,
Yeah.
but we'll see. Like we talked about, when you have a lot of selling because of the cyclical nature, they can start buying like we're seeing now.
And that's it. Three. Oh, look at that. Three. Well, it opened level, but then you've got two end to ends going on.
Exactly. So we're seeing a little bit of strength at that price. And the next thing that we'd be watching is we'd like to see a decisive move above 510
Yeah.
to start giving it strength. And right now it's showing either no personality or a bit of weakness.
Yeah. It feels like it's on the edge of a tantrum to me.
It's probably not a bad call. So if we were going to see it turn into a tantrum or a baby, we'd see that 490 break decisively, and then for confirmation we'd see the 480 with a follow through.
And we've got lots of matching candles, almost red green, staying at the same sort of level, creeping back up now a little bit.
And these are times when we sit on our cash. These are times when we kind of wait to strike.
This is not where I want to accidentally hit that button.
Safety is the name of the game.
We are always gone again now. It was flirting with that 510, but it's got the cold shoulder and it's backing off again now.
Yeah, that's a good word. I like that. And we're always trying to gauge, and that's a good word, flirting, because if you take the example of a guy and a girl, say they work in the same office place, and you start cueing into, that pretty girl, she made eye contact with me, or if you're the woman, the handsome guy, he just did he look at me, or he kind of, when we were conversing, he lingered on certain words. And that's kind of what we want to clue in on charts, is because charts are all about subtle hints, subtle personality that we're picking up on, and use that word flirting. It's much the same as the cues that happen between a guy and a girl. Is it going to do this, or is it going to do that? And when so we don't ask a girl out on a date without like specific clues,
testing that water.
Yeah,
I can relate to this one as well, because if unsuccessful flirting is an analogy, I can be an expert on that subject, that's for sure.
Nice. I've always been scared of striking out, so usually if I flirt, I try to gauge it like I do my tickers, or I like to see the sure thing,
Not just a trading sniper, you're a flirting sniper as well. I like it.
Yep, yeah, you got me. So that, coming back to our charts, that's exactly what we're looking for. We're looking for subtle clues that the buyers are excited, or subtle clues that the shorts are kind of taking over. And here we got a no longer a subtle clue, but more of a definitive clue.
So from where does that bit of flirting and the backing away, and it kind of dribbled down a little bit on the chart, and then like you said, you noticed that there was a couple of 2 or 3 intervals there of a huge number of people dropping the stock there. Look at that. It's
exactly
tanking.
Exactly. And what's so cool about the process that we determine for a Navy SEAL is it's exactly the same process when it comes to a big baby, a temper tantrum baby. Because instead of green bars going end to end and building momentum, you see red bars going end to end. So it's that same decisiveness in each direction. And say you belong this stock accidentally, and then you start to see those end to end red bars. That is a clue for a beginner to say, get out. This is doing something it's not supposed to do.
And it is, well, as you said at the start here, you were looking for it to go above 510 or below 480. It got up to 510, dead on 510, and then backed off like we talked about there. And then it's kind of, jotted down for the day. And then it's gone right to that 4.81. So it's right on. I'd love to see, because I've stopped here because it's 3:55. So we're 5 minutes from the end of the day. I would love to see if there are a few more hours in the day, because I'll get to fit, whether that would just continue that momentum then in decreasing down, or, where it would open for the next day on this one. So it's quite interesting. So to me, that helps me think about what if I'd have seen this on the day before and where would it go to?
Mm-hmm.
Like you said to me, putting yourself in those shoes of someone else looking at it and how are they feeling? And
yes, and one of the things that I've learned over the years is it helps so much to have skin in the game as you're a beginner. So anymore, if there's stocks I'm interested in, I'll just buy one share. I'll keep the position open for, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes and try to see how I feel even about my one share. Is it going up 20 cents? Is it going down 20 cents? If that was a few $1,000s, how would I feel? And as I'm more confident in my position, I'll add. That's where the real size will come in. But anymore, I use a lot of just one shares in
just to get
different
that feeling.
sectors.
Yeah,
I feel like even better than CNBC, the actual price action tells a whole story.
Absolutely. Well, let's go through one more here. We'll see what what we're looking for in. I'll start. So this chart initially, this a lot more activity going on here in the ups and downs. I suppose if I was looking for the previous day, a bit of excitement towards the end, looked like it's going up and it's held. So I don't know. I'd be hoping for a bit of a jump here, but I don't know if you'd see that or you'd see it going the other way.
I actually see a stock where the buyers and sellers aren't really agreeing on much.
Right.
It seems like the buyers want a higher price, but every time it tries for a higher price, there's a big retracement. So all the buyers who get to a higher price, they immediately sell.
Yeah. And that's where you're seeing this almost capped line here at this 15.6 mark. Yeah, is where it's jumped a bit and it's out again.
Which leads me to believe that there could be buyers that are trapped, and there could be more interest in sellers. So this has the ability to turn into either of the three personalities. Has the ability to turn into a big baby because buyers seem trapped and they could immediately push down really hard to a lower level, or it could continue doing this back and forth, this volatility, until there's so many short sellers trapped that they add to a position higher. So what we're seeing right now is we're seeing a definitive move that makes buyers scared to be in this stock.
Yeah, and it's exactly like you said there. So we just clicked, we've opened, we got 3 downwards, including the end to end on the red candles there. Then immediately it started jumping again.
Yes.
And almost as I say that, it's jumping back down again. So
exactly.
I feel like we got a teenager on our hands on here. 100% we got a teenager going on.
Yes, nailed it. This is a teenager, and this helps add to our previous episode what a Navy SEAL is not.
Yes.
This could potentially become what's called a momentum play with no real value. But because shorts are trapped and there's still long interest, it could explode either to the, like we were saying, up to the upside or the downside. So for a beginner, I would be scared to be in this stock.
I feel that just looking at this, I can feel the angst that's going on with the buying and selling. And I really like this because we tried, I got some examples that are quite close to it, but I don't feel like I've seen that proper teenage girl personality on the screen yet. And I feel this is the first one where I can see that and it's running through because it is erratic.
Yes.
I wouldn't feel comfortable having my money here, that's for sure.
Yes. And then one of the things as you, it is possible to trade momentum stocks. There's a whole group of traders who do very well in momentum, but it's a different skill because there's no real, it's harder to determine actual value because it's so erratic.
Yeah.
So steer clear of those teenage girls. If there's anything that we want to avoid, it's the erratic stocks.
And you had this, you know, pin from before I even hit that first button. You said it could go one of those ways, but it's kind of leaning towards, because of the fight between the buyers and sellers, that teenage personality. And within that first half hour, which is exactly what you said, it's all about spotting that personality in that first half hour, or that it hasn't got one. And this one has lived absolutely true on that.
Yeah, and the thing is anytime we have a tradesman that helps us with something, it looks like magic when they do it. You know, I'm not a plumber or an electrician. I've had a little bit of experience in both of those fields. But if you have a plumber that comes into your house and say you got a problem in the bathroom, or say an electrician where you have a really big electrical problem, and he comes in an hour, tells you what the problem is, boom, bang, it's done. Trading is a lot like that. You know, it's not magic to look at a chart and take a guess where it's going. It's simply experience. So there is we're going to teach you guys how to exactly pinpoint, maybe not exactly pinpoint, but give you a really good intuition.
Make educated guesses.
Yes.
Here we go. Yep. So this one, click through the day on this one. And this has been all over the show. It's shown as the day's gone on, it looks less erratic as the chart's got longer, but that was just, up, down, up, down, up, down, buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell. That would be one. And, you know, if I was doing this for real, early on, I think by the time that got in the first couple of hours of the day, I'd have been like, I don't even need to look at this one anymore.
Yeah, that's exactly what I would do too, because it doesn't fit what we're looking for. But it was a great example, like you said.
That was fantastic.
Definitive, erratic, don't put our money in that ticker. Something that's acting like that, out, you know.
Absolutely. And that was great. Like, and we said, you know, before we went on, we talked about what we were planning to do today, and we wanted to do some more looking for signs of the seal, but staying away, because that, as you said, that's the golden personality we're looking for. And just wanted a bit more looking. We looked through 4 or 5 charts there, and for me, I've now end to end was a term and a philosophy I wasn't even aware of. That's in my head there now, to start looking for that in the candles when I see it. I've learned what stop is, which is really good to know as well. And just the fact you can do that and put that marker in for yourself, and your principle of buying one share as well. So a huge amount of information coming through there, and just looking at those charts, which again, little pieces of that very big puzzle filling in for me. So that was really enjoyable, actually. It was really good to get those views and start building a bit more puzzle. I will continue between this week and next. I encourage everyone watching and listening to do the same. I'll be doing my homework. I'll be continue going through that chart game. I'll take some screenshots of any that I think are interesting, and you can even say they are, or explain to me why they weren't interesting whatsoever. And just keep learning. And I will try not to hit my fat thumb and do some accidentals, because whilst I've got a good accidental, something tells me the next few will probably be terrible, because you're not lucky that often.
I love it. And then what we'll get to see as we start to in the future episode look for a Navy SEAL is it will build on that idea that we started. You know, you have a candle and then an end of another candle and then a build. And then what you'll see even in the strongest stocks is you'll have that, and then you'll have a continuation where there's even more buyers. You're like, wow, this keep going up. And then what actually happens is they do. I mean, we see stocks like Tesla, Amazon, real stocks all through the market that do make those stair step moves, you know, that we'll dial in on. Excited to show everyone.
Excellent. I'm looking forward to that. So, you know, we've continued a bit more of what that is. And I think for me, we've, you know, solidified what that big baby is. We've seen the teenage girl personality on the screen now, which is really good. And what I'm looking forward to, is next week we'll try and hunt out some of those Navy SEALs, and you can expand on that concept and what you've seen. And I think fill in a few more of those great puzzle pieces. It's been really good. Right, before we sign off for everyone, again, we thank everyone for listening, for watching. We thank you for your support. We're building something here. We want that feedback.
Education.
Absolutely. As Ethan said, give us that feedback. Tell us we're good. Tell us we're bad. Tell us we're ugly on your screen. We'd love to hear what you think of it. We'll keep tailoring the message to what people out there want, what they want to know, hopefully add some real value to people out there, which is what we're looking to do. Hit that subscribe button. Each and every Thursday we come out, all podcast services, YouTube as well. Leave us a review, leave some feedback. Hit us up on Twitter as well at BP Financial Pod and at T4A Phoenix, PHENUX. We appreciate everything that's going on there as well. So do we want to, how is your own stocks going at the moment? So you're giving us some to be looking at the last few weeks. Have you got any updates or any new insights just for people out there listening and watching?
Well, since we're doing reality and we're being raw and we're trying to really zero in on exactly what's happening with the market, there's been a lot of volatility because of the politics. And my number one pick of ADT, I actually lost, which is a fair amount of money.
I saw that during the week on your
about
Twitter.
$100. Yep. So it does happen. Fortunately, I stuck to my rules, and that's actually me sticking to my rules for what I considered a pretty good trade. So that's still on my list. It's gotten lower. Cisco still on my list. Rite Aid, I still feel are good buys right now. And then I'm also, because of the market volatility, I like two different ETFs. The first ETF is D as in dog, F as in Frank, E as in Eden, N as in Nancy, and that's an ETF that takes a bullish stance on the aerospace part of the market. And then my negative ETF I've been watching lately is SRTY, and that takes a negative bet against the market. So as I'm trying to discern volatility, those are some of the things I like right now. But it's definitely doesn't feel like a beginner's market right here, just because it's really hard. I would generally just watch and try to sit things out. And if I was going to buy something, I'd buy something with a lot of buyer volume like Cisco.
Sound advice. And very quickly, because we won't go down into it, where you said an ETF, is this for my, and I might be wrong on it, but effectively, is this you buying into someone else's portfolio? So they're managing what is and isn't in there, and you're putting some money into that managed pool, if you like.
Yes. Picture if you were investing in a business, it's just like that. You're investing in a business like someone else's portfolio. And when you're investing going up, you're trying to invest in, say, a pro, somebody who is confident in their business going up, or also the shorty SRTY is a pro who's confident in the market going down. So their ETF stands for electronic traded funds, and like you said, it's like a portfolio. So that's what I got there. And then in terms of our reading list, I'm actually almost done with the Brett Steenbarger book. I only got 45 minutes left. And I'll tell you, between that and Mike Bellafury's One Good Trade, it is gold. More than enough information for a trader to start working towards a goal. So love them. Catch up to me. So
they're not already on your list. Add them to your list.
Yes.
Excellent. Love to hear it. Well, this again, fascinating week this week, building a bit of that puzzle. We will be back again next week when we will be filling in that last piece of the Trinity with the Navy SEAL, which I am very much looking forward to. Again, huge love. Thanks everyone out there for listening, supporting the show. He's been Ethan Cope. I've been Lee Kemp, and we have been the Black Phoenix Financial Podcast.